hammer. Ready?
We'll call the
Smack some.
regular town council meeting to order. Before we get to I'd like to welcome any visitors we have tonight. Thank you for coming. Before we get to the pledge, I have one gripe. When I got into the Rowington Club, I served as a president for a year and attended some training sessions. And there is no pause between one nation under God. It's simple, but it should mean something to us in this country. I know everybody says it that way. That's my pet peeve of the day. So if we could accommodate that, I'd appreciate it. Reverend Duck, if you'd lead us in prayer, and then the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
Be glad to. Thank you. And again, good evening, everyone. Glad to see you tonight. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we certainly agree in agreement tonight that you're a great and you're a mighty God. We thank you for your creative acts that we've been able to enjoy recently, the singing of the birds, the grass coming up, the flowers coming out, the trees budding. We thank you for your creative acts. We also thank you for your redemptive acts that you have provided a way for us into your glorious heaven. And we bring this council, the agenda, before you tonight. I pray that everything that's done will be done orderly and that will benefit the community and bring a blessing to your holy name. Guide and direct all the deliberation of this council tonight, and we'll give you the thanks for all things accomplished. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you.
We did it right.
Thank y'all all. All righty. Well, I had my comment due to where I needed it to be, and we shall move forward from there. Do we have any scheduled public appearances for tonight?
We do not.
Thank you. Next is the adoption of the consent agenda. All matters listed on the consent agenda are considered routine by the council and will be approved or received by one motion in the form listed. Items may be removed by the consent agenda from the consent agenda for discussion under the regular agenda upon motion of any council member and duly seconded. Items to consideration: February 12th, 2024 regular meeting and February 27th, 2024 workshop meeting minutes. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion made and properly seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. The ayes have it, the motion carries. Unfinished business. Recommendation from town manager to prioritize town hall building renovations to first address meeting complying with American with Disabilities Act, building, fire, and OSHA deficiencies and violations. Mr. McGee.
Okay, I'm going to hand this way. Y'all can kind of follow this, and I promise I'm not going to take nearly as much time as the last one. So this will be much shorter. Just take one and pass it across.
We got pizza. We're good.
Specifically, I'm addressing liability. Everybody, get one.
Good.
Since I've been here, one of the clear messages that I've gotten from the town is, to reduce the town's liability, and that really is the point of what I'm covering today. I'm going to cover some definitions, and I'll try and go through this pretty quickly. If you have some questions, I'd be glad to answer them, but I'm going to go through this, and if you need to stop me, please do. Town activities are divided into two types. One of those types is government. Activities supporting the mission of higher levels of government. For instance, following a tornado, FEMA might direct the public works building to be used as an emergency shelter. That's an example of a government activity. The other activities that governments do are along the lines of supporting the town's own missions within its own boundaries, water, sewer, billing. And most of the activities of the town fall into proprietary activities. That's important because when you consider this issue of sovereign immunity for negligence claims that come out of government activities, that same level of sovereign immunity doesn't apply to proprietary ones. I had contacted our town attorney, and gratefully he sent me some good documentation. I'm going to quote his. When an individual sues the town for premises liability, they typically pursue the claim for damages under state tort law, which focuses on the existence of dangerous conditions of which the defendant knew or should have known. So being grandfathered under the various laws such as building code, ADA, does not necessarily create a defense on the premises liability claim when grandfathered status is admissible in premises liability case depends on many factors and cannot be guaranteed. The factors that, and these aren't all the factors obviously, but they're some of the more common ones. The responsibility and willingness to know the applicable laws, codes, and regulations, knowledge of the actual violations and deficiencies that have been identified, the number, the nature, and purpose of previous building modifications. For instance, have the issues been addressed, or have you been progressively improving? The known risk frequency, daily, weekly, monthly, known risk exposure, number of people, length of time, those kinds of things, and risk mitigations, like what have you done to try and mitigate some of those risks. And my assessment on this is that the town hall is at a very high level of risk regarding building, fire, and safety liability. Second thing, this is liability with respect to the Americans with Disability Act. And these acts are, that the Americans with Disability Act offers a very different from the others in the following ways. It's not necessary to demonstrate an existing need. In other words, you don't have to have a handicapped employee for this to apply. It's not necessary to be physically on the premises for ADA laws to apply. We really discovered this when we did the town website. Somebody can be virtually away and it can be enforceable if our website doesn't comply with the ADA. Let's see. The ADA specifications for physical premises are just as numerous and detailed. A person making a complaint does not have to be handicapped, applying for employment, or have responsibility or business with the town. It's illegal to retaliate in any manner against the complainant. Violations, as opposed to some of the others, violations can be reported directly to several federal agencies like the EEOC. Fines for ADA are typically largely predetermined and they're always expensive. They start about they're often around $75,000 on the first offense and $125,000 on successive offense. An issue that's going to be impacting the town is that 5.5 million people, working age adults, are right now in wheelchairs. That's about 2.5% of the population. After age 65, that number quadruples. So what I'm saying is, if you have an aging population, you're having a larger number of people that are probably going to be in wheelchairs. But the bigger issue is that when baby boomers retire, this is the largest group of people in American history that will ever be in wheelchairs. This is just a situation to consider. If you consider a wheelchair-bound person applying for an advertised job, they arrive on the premises first time for an interview, and they quickly discovered that none of the town hall bathrooms, offices are ADA compliant. Now, if they're selected, if they're not selected for the job, it would be difficult for the town to demonstrate that their non-selection was merit-based rather than due to the building conditions. If they are selected, that would require some immediate construction to design, build office and bathroom facilities to accommodate them. And it would be a lot more if they decided to file a claim, an ADA claim against the town. So my assessment on the town hall is that we're at extreme high risk for ADA compliance liability. And just to kind of illustrate this, if you look on this page, if you start at the bottom of the ramp doesn't have any ADA signs, like Braille or those kinds of things. So the first infraction at the bottom of the ramp, that's a 0 fee, is $75,000. When you reach 30 feet on the ramp, it doesn't have a 5-foot landing. That's the second infraction, $125,000. When you get to 60 feet, you're supposed to have that's another $25,000. I'm not going to drag you through all this, but
Thank you.
you can quickly see that in the first 95 feet of this building, you could accumulate $2.4 million in fines. Now, very rarely I think would that be what would actually happen. But I've only covered the first 95 feet of the building.
First 95 feet. Well,
So this is my recommendation, that prior to establishing any price cap, the cost of the project components of those listed below should be assessed, and these components are presented in the order of the current risk level and the functional need. So compliance with the Americans with Disability Act would be the first priority. Compliance with building code, fire code, and OSHA codes. The replacement of the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system, cessation, containment, prevention of building water infiltrations on the lower level. Failure to promptly address these deficiencies unnecessarily subjects the town to numerous regulatory non-compliance fines that are very expensive. And there's every year that we don't address these issues, construction cost is increasing about 4.7%. And if we get into a lawsuit, we're looking at compensatory and legal fees that are relatively unlimited in scope. Acting now is the town's greatest opportunity to comply with code requirements at the most predictable cost. And delaying action subjects the town to the highest possible cost, the greatest schedule, and the most planning disruptions. Those are my offering to. I'm asking those in the considerations that the council consider. And we have a personal injury attorney here, in case you like that.
Just gotta defend us. Us, not the public.
Defend the town.
Yeah.
so,
Well, it would likely, just so you all know, typically when there are suits against local governments, I mean, you all would be covered by insurance and typically would be handled by one of the insurance lawyers. They usually assign, they have certain specific lawyers that are designated for that purpose, but, so it probably wouldn't be us, but it's certainly an area of law that I'm familiar with. And, one of the things that I talked about with Carrie is that in certain instances as a local government, you do have sovereign immunity, which in principle is a really great thing because it's reduced liability. There's a higher standard where sovereign immunity exists. You have to prove gross negligence as opposed to simple negligence. And gross negligence is a higher standard. The problem is, if you talk to judges who've sat in on cases over the years, most of them will tell you that juries don't really make a whole lot of distinction between gross negligence and negligence. And it's not to say that, you know, as the attorney defending a town that's being charged with some sort of negligence, you're certainly gonna prefer that to be a gross negligence standard, but, you know, the fact that it's gross negligence is not necessarily a silver bullet, because, you know, in my experience, juries don't necessarily make a big distinction between those two. You know, you talk to a lawyer thinks there's a really big difference between negligence and gross negligence. Juries don't necessarily see it that way, so it's something to keep in mind in terms of liability.
Well, Frank, what's your recommendation?
You know, I mean, ultimately, I've not gone through in any of the detail. I mean, I've not looked at what your ADA issues are. You know, my thought would be it certainly would make sense at a minimum to have somebody evaluated and determine the extent of the issues. You know, it's certainly cheaper to resolve issues of that sort before you get a complaint than it is once the complaint occurs. You know, if you wait, you have a complaint, you get a suit, you know, it depends on what the nature of that suit is, but, you know, keep in mind with the ADA, typically, if there's a violation, it's not just the fines you're looking at, it's typically attorney's fees. You end up having to pay the attorney's fees for the complainant potentially.
I hadn't thought about that.
Plus your own attorney's fees, so, you know, most of
And you have to do the construction.
right, yeah, and you still can end up having to do the construction too, so it's sort of just adding on to that cost. I haven't really discussed with Terry in any detail what specific issues there are, and so, you know, certainly there may be things that you can look at and you say, well, we need this and we don't need that, but I definitely think it's probably something that periodically you want to evaluate, and I've been here approximately 20 years, or close to 20 years, and I don't recall that we've ever done any sort of evaluation of the physical building, you know, to make that determination. So I think it would be beneficial to do that.
I'd make a motion that we hire, not hire, but get a local building inspector, which he knows all these laws, and let him come in and evaluate our building and give us his recommendation.
I'll second that.
Motion made, properly seconded. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. The ayes have it, the motion carries.
Thank you.
Can you get in touch with Lonnie, the local building inspector, and see what he can provide for us in this field? Realizing, you know, we'll get to minimum compliance, it's gonna cost us a bit of money to get there.
Well, I don't think none of our restrooms in
Yes,
this
yes, ma'am.
building are ADA.
Well, even beyond that, we gotta look at it from
I
many
mean, there's much
aspects.
more
Yes, ma'am.
than that, but still, that's a big starting point.
We've discussed many times doing it piecemeal, getting each little component taken care of. The ADA issues, the HVAC issues, the roof issues, the issues down in the lower floors where we're not truly utilizing that space that could likely need to be remediated in some way, shape, or form from whatever contaminants are down there. I think part of this has been part of the budgeted stuff we've already done or are doing before any project begins will determine a lot of that. We're in a very unique position right now where we can take some funds that aren't directly from our taxpayers to minimize the taxpayer cost. And that should get us out. Go
Can I
ahead,
ask
Jay.
a question? When he comes, is he only looking at the ADA or is he looking at these other concerns?
Oh, as far as.
The building code, the fire code?
And
He look at all that.
He will look at all that when he
I mean,
comes.
that building code is his thing.
Yes.
Gotcha.
ADA is just one
One of the,
of
so he'll do
the
it.
things that needs to be
Good
evaluated.
question.
Thank you, Jane. Okay. Moving to our next item, Lee Grant Planning and Construction for Smart Scale Realities.
Yeah, just as really quick, but I did have a meeting with Robert Brown, he's the VDOT superintendent, and a couple of things I just wanted to be sure everybody was aware of. Jeff, I run into Jeff, and he said y'all probably did know these things, but I wanted to be sure that you were aware. The fact is, once the project, if we apply and we're applying, once it's approved, you're looking at least 6 years from that date before construction starts. And I didn't know if y'all were aware of that part, but it's a pretty long way.
Well, with this current smart scale project that's going on, those of us who were on council, when that began, we realized how long it takes to get to the end goal.
But with that, I assume that'll allow us to set aside funds to get that project to completion.
And the second part was, we've got this 1,100 feet of Lee Grant between Court and Church Street. If VDOT is to take it over, they will insist that all the ADA requirements for the sidewalks be maintained.
Okay.
So if the town keeps it, they don't, we don't have to go with those. But if we do, if that is the desire to turn that piece of road over to VDOT, they're going to insist those standards are enforced.
So what's the procedure, say we get to smart scale? At what point do we turn it over to VDOT and let them have the whole tube map and deal with it?
Well, once the road is to the width that they accept, once the sidewalks.
That's what the smart scale is gonna do.
Right.
So they're not gonna take it till after it's all done?
Right, and, they won't accept it unless it is built to their standards.
But we could build it to whatever standard we want to put
That's
on
correct.
it ourselves
But-
and not turn it over to them, keep
Right.
it like we got it.
And the only thing, that just keeps us maintained. So that's all I had.
Okay.
So we have applied for that or gonna apply for that?
Yeah, we're in the process of they haven't got to that date yet, but Tori is going through all the classes and stuff to get that in.
Okay.
All right. Any other unfinished business? New business, consideration of purchase of items to support video capture for town meetings.
Nathan had asked, had requested that we look into purchasing a new camera to record our meetings with ARPA funds. They've already been designated for purchasing new AV equipment. So I asked Reverend Duck to look into the cost of the equipment and to give us an estimate, which he has done. The estimate was $46.25. We have $3,400 remaining in the designated ARPA funds. So we would be over, the cost would be over by about $1,200. And so when I told Nathan that, he did look into an alternative camera, and it would be below the budget. It would be $29.20. But when I sent that to Reverend Duck, he has a preference for the camera in his quote. So I guess what we need to decide is, do we want to go ahead and purchase the camera that Reverend Duck would like for us to have? Or do we want to purchase the cheaper camera that would put us under budget but not be exactly what he would prefer?
I would like to see us take whatever money we need to get what he recommends to work with his software
Absolutely.
to, as
Yeah.
the Harper Fund, and just get what he's specing.
May I speak?
Yes, please, sir.
I did look, and Christie sent me the information on the cameras, and I did do a research on the camera. It's a JVC camera, and it's a very good camera. Has good qualities, and actually the difference is the camera normally, excuse me, normally the camera sells for $2,000, and a supplier has it at $1,300, just to use round figures. So looking at it, it doesn't have some of the durabilities and things that I would look for if I was looking for a camera, but considering the environment in which you use it for, if it's going to be pretty much used in this room, and that's about the extent of it, or for capturing council meetings or special meetings or things of that nature, I believe the camera would work. But the only reason the camera is less expensive is because B&H Video has it on for a special right now. So it's about $700 cut at present. I'm not sure when that cut goes off. But, the things that I look at is durability. It's pretty much plastic, and the cameras we use, very little plastic on them, so you've got more durability. You get a little bit better pixelization on your pictures, things of that nature. But I really think, and honestly, for your benefit, I think the camera, it's actually a JVC GYHM 170. I think it would suffice for what you want to do. So you would be on the budget, and of course, getting it on sale, I don't know when that goes off.
I know, I
You
got an
know.
idea when it goes off.
Yeah, we have no idea when it goes off.
Oh, I've got a good idea, because they shut down for one of their holidays.
Well, they're shutting down pretty soon.
I know.
Because they're a Catholic-run organization. So, I believe a Catholic or Jewish, I'm not sure. No, Jewish. Catholic, I'm sorry. Anyway, they'll be shutting down. So I would imagine you'll have to move pretty quick if you're going to get it at that price.
Terry, question. Are we going to consider taking most of the improved hardware that we have purchased recently down to any council chambers if we so?
No reason not to.
Okay, so we're looking at something that we need durable to work throughout the rest of this room and into the future.
One thing, Mayor, is in addition to that, we are going, rather than a desktop computer, we're going with a laptop, a good HP. I use that a lot. I've got 2 editing suites in my home, and I've got 2 editing suites at my church, and a couple of other folks who've got editing suites too that work with us. This is going to work fine. It's pretty much the same computer I'm using, and it's very durable and works very good. Addition, we need a program, an updated program. This is all running real old technology, and a few other pieces of equipment. I'd suggest, rather than capturing on the computer, capturing on an external 1 TB external drive with a USB 3 capability that will give you better. And so all of that, and that's pretty well it. It's Pinnacle runs a program. Avid owns Pinnacle. Avid is one of your premier, Mayor, that
Yes.
Avid is, but Pinnacle is a product of Avid, which we've been using it for years. It's a very dependable program and does very good. And the technology in it has really caught up with Avid, and it's more of a higher learning curve, but, if you've been doing this a while, you can understand how to do it. So, also, I have trained people. My son-in-law can, if for some reason I'm not here, he can run the equipment. So you're never caught without support, and he'll be familiar with the equipment that we use.
As was so when you were having some health issues.
Yeah, really. So 29.25 is about the dollar amount coming up to.
This is for the low-end camera?
This is for the JVC camera, but there again, that is contingent upon
Getting it on sale.
getting it Because if not, you're gonna add $700 more to that, and you're gonna be, what was your budget amount? 36,
34.
34? You'll be over your budget amount. You may want to consider,
Is the JVC the low-end camera?
it's low-end camera,
What's the
yeah.
high-end camera? What model?
Panasonic. It's a Panasonic HGX 1000 4K. That's about a $3,000 camera.
And that would put us over budget, 1225. But Kim did say she thought we could find that if we wanted to go that route.
Yeah, I'm fine with the JVC.
If you can make it work, if you can't, if we have to get it in the hopper, I'm all right with it if y'all want to do a consensus or vote or whatever you want to do.
Which one will,
Years of service.
yeah, how long will each one of these, well, that's probably something you can't answer, but.
Well, I think we can answer it somewhat. Technology in cameras is kind of a dual-edged sword. It's changing, but it's not changing. A lot of the things, we run Panasonic 200s, which is a very good camera that's been on the market for quite a long while. We run those, and they are very stable, very good cameras. And the amazing thing is, in looking at the quality of the camera, the technical part of the camera, of what we're operating on, and these new cameras, the technology hasn't changed a whole lot. It's the bells and the whistles that changes. But as far as the technology, and also you're not looking at doing anything HD or anything of that caliber, but in all of our broadcasts, it's all digital anyway, so that would compensate also. But really, if you look at it, the JVC will give you a good life. It's just is not a durable camera because the case is plastic and some of the buttons and things on it a little bit closer placed to turn off, turn on, do things with. Nathan had spoken about the XLR that has XLR on the handle, but we really don't use XLR connections here. We do everything through the soundboard, so there's no XLR, no external miking done or anything like that. But if you ever went out in the field and you want to do something, it has that capability that you could with a connection. But any of your cameras, any of your pro-consumer cameras, which this is, both of them, would support that. So now that we've confused you.
Personally, I'd like to see the higher end camera myself.
Yeah, I think we'll get a more durable thing, and it should carry us through 4K technology, though it's not the cutting edge right now. 8K is, but that's just because they've tightened what a camera can absorb as far as the density of the pixels, and that's the biggest difference there.
Let me tell you one more thing real quick.
Please, sir.
We use, as I said, the P200 Panasonic. A couple years ago, we was filming the Railroad Festival down here in Appomattox. We had a camera set up on top of the hardware building at the end of the street. So one of our guys was tugging on the cable, and the camera and tripod all came down on the street. And it didn't do anything to the camera. It did not break any of the housing on it, but see, it's got that tougher. If it had probably been a plastic camera, it would probably shattered, but it had the metal casing on it, so therefore it's a little more durable. One thing we did, we cracked the lens on a viewfinder, but you know, $200 can replace that too. But I'm fine with whatever you want to do.
Thank you, sir. Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion we obtain the higher end camera and just take the money out of the hopper to get what we need.
Motion made and properly seconded. Any discussion? This require a voice
Roll
vote? Yeah. Or, it's roll call?
Roll call, please.
Okay. By roll call. Jane?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Mary Lou?
Yes.
Timmy?
Yes.
Claudia? I vote 5-0, the motion carries. Any other new business come before the council at this time? All right, council standing committee reports. Finance?
Nothing too much.
We had a good budget.
We had good budget.
Yep. Physical development?
We didn't have any. We will be able to go get the building, start to come look at the building.
Yeah. Okay. Anything from ARPA?
No. Well, we just.
Other than what we just expensed, yes. Okay. Is there any citizen comment to come up tonight? Town manager's report, Mr. McGee.
Mostly good stuff. Church and Borderline, currently right about the intersection of Lee Grant and Church Street. Right now, they're beginning to work on the lateral service connections on the residences and the church. And always good to pray for good weather because that will speed up the construction and cut down on the number of inconvenience of drivers in the morning. Tony Construction is averaging right now between 100 and 140 feet a day of pipeline, closer to 140 feet. And 40 feet is the minimum to make, our December end date. So we're doing well ahead of that and could finish significantly shorter than December. We expect the pipeline to reach the railroad crossing in 4 to 6 weeks. So that gets you on May 6th, that is the planned auger boring under the railroad tracks. Venue 1848 is actually planning on a party, watch a wheel spin. Not a whole lot to look at, but they said they, any kind of.
Any excuse for
Party.
Town support of the internship program. Megan, she's the one that we're working with. She got to meet 50 business owners at the Central Virginia Small Business Group this past week. So she is well running. That's a high target area to find internships and stuff. So that is very much rolling pretty quickly. That meeting was bringing 50 businesses from Appomattox all together in one meeting, and it was a very exciting. They were very.
that was just Appomattox small businesses?
Appomattox area.
Oh, which,
So the county.
When did this meeting happen?
Last week. The Dana Mayberry kind of set it up, and it was over at the hotel. But they are, and that group is largely kind of taking on the responsibilities a lot of responsibilities that the Chamber of Commerce would cover. Not the same thing, they have a little bit different mission, but as far as bringing the business people together, that part of it is very similar. Town's website has doubled in use in a month. And Cheryl from WW Graphics is progressing, but switching over the historic Appomattox site. Let's see, Public Works is within one person of being fully staffed for the first time in several years.
We don't have HR.
What's that?
And we don't have a full-time HR. Just a note.
Well, I can tell you, you have a very tired staff,
That's good. Sleep well at night, like I do.
if at all. That's the part you need to remember. VDOT,
Join the club.
on the Country Music Outdoor Festival, there's a plan right now to do a June 15th outdoor festival. And VDOT has really put the brakes on that until the promoter for that comes up with a very well done traffic plan, an emergency response plan, pedestrian walking plan. And they are going to do everything they can to try and facilitate making that happen. But the guy is really behind the curve as far as how long it takes to get something like this through. I reassured him that we would try to do everything we could to make it happen, but he's got to come through with those things before we can approve that event. I've already talked with the sheriff as far as sound issues, and because you got to think people might be complaining about sound issues. So Robbie's very up to date on that part of it. Let's see. The Jones Avenue, we have a residence in Jones Avenue, and for a long time we have a trailer that we've been trying to get moved. It appears that that trailer is just about ready to be moved off the lot. It looks like maybe an axle broke or something, and that stopped it from actually happening. But legally, this is non-prosecute. You can say what that means.
That's a dismissal that the prosecutor can do. I've actually been designated a special prosecutor in the case. And you can ask the court to dismiss it. You've got the right to bring the case back if it becomes necessary, which I don't anticipate is likely. Once the trailer's moved, you're probably in good shape.
This is the ones we've been dealing
Yes.
with. All right.
Yes.
Is it Jones Street or Jones Avenue? I think it's Jones Street.
Three definitely.
It's okay.
The downtown, DHCD downtown revitalization, we're down to just a single closeout item of getting the very last wage surveys in. That will allow Tony Construction to receive their final payment, and then we can close out the downtown project. That's all I have.
We should have a happy dance when that happens.
Ice cream.
4 years. 4
We can
years.
have it at Mary Lou can host it at 1848.
Thank you all.
Been a long time coming.
Ready. At this time, we were looking to go into closed session pursuant to Code of Virginia, Section 2.2-3711A1, for the purpose of discussing the performance of a specific public employee, specifically being employee A. Entertain a motion on this. Is there a second?
Second.
By roll call vote. Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Boyce?
Yes.
Mr. Garrett?
Yes.
Ms. Puckett?
Yes.
Ms. Spiegel?
Yes.
By a vote 5-0, we'll now go into closed session.
Are we going to do a break first?
We need to do a quick break while the
It's still
folks
on red.
vacate the
I'm just
room.
saying, it's still on red.
We're good, okay. To the best of each member's knowledge, the only subjects just discussed are considered in the preceding closed meeting were those lawfully exempted from the FOIA Act's open meeting requirements and properly identified in the motion that convened the closed meeting pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3712D.
Your motion?
So moved.
Motion made, properly seconded. Any discussion? By roll call vote. Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Boyce?
Yes.
Mr. Garrett? Yes. Ms. Puckett? Ms. Spiegel?
Yes.
By a vote of 5-0, motion carries. All right. Next is council comment. I'm gonna take the first shot at that. Taking the first shot at that. I'm proud to say, we had a meeting of the minds, so to say. I met with the chairman and board of supervisors and the mayor of the town of Pamplin at the breakfast. Trying to start the communication process. That's what we need in the community to make the community better. Hopefully we can build upon that. Hope that goodwill, have time to brag, and each one of us bragged about what was going good, said nothing about what was going bad. But our time to brag was good. I think it's good for the community. I enjoyed it, and I'm glad we won't be discussing breakfast anymore in county minutes, town minutes. But thank you all for allowing me to pursue that. All righty. Council comment. Ms. Puckett. Hold on, I'm gonna start with Mrs. Allen.
Are you sure you want to start on mine?
Yes, ma'am. I'm gonna start
Okay,
when you're ready.
so I have a few things that I emailed to Terry just to kind of follow up with. They were in the back of my mind. I know we had discussed the building maintenance code, and I wanted to see what we can do with that. I know Nathan had brought it up, like having rules, sticking to them, and what we would do if the rules weren't. Just on my walks, I've noticed like chipping paint, ceilings falling in certain buildings. Well, the porches. Windows out, broken windows, like what can we do to motivate to get these things repaired? I would like to follow up on that. Want me to move on to the next thing, or do we talk about it?
I would like to address it. I'd really like to have Mr. Fowler come in and address the council, because, he's been doing that, and seeing those kinds of things going on for both Lynchburg and Farmville. And I think he can give you some insights about how to make that successful.
Yeah, okay. So if we could do that, that would be exciting. The other thing, I know we had talked before about the poles, and my phone, I took the pictures and I couldn't send them to Christy or Terry, but we've got different things on these light poles. I don't know what all they do. I assume some hold a flag, some hold, we talked about getting those banners and changing them for holidays or events, or even getting with the local veterans and having, like you sponsor your veteran and you put it up here and recognize them for different holidays or events, or just to do something like that. I don't know if there's a company you have to reach out to with those certain light poles, or how that works, or if we have the posts to do those things.
I think Jeff probably has the smartest answer.
Okay.
The answer that I have is that I know some of our poles include a banner pole,
Right.
a horizontal arm for banners.
Yes.
But that's the most that I know.
Okay. I'll just look into something like that. Just, I visited another town and it felt cozy. I liked it. It made it really individual to the town. And then let's see here. Another thing, I know Nathan Harpin was going to give us an update on, really, I think he was focusing on the depot, and we talked about the trees, but again, with those light poles, the hanging baskets, would that work? How pretty would that be? Could we get with the local high school students and, see if they
I've
wanted
asked
to?
Nathan to try and make it to the next workshop
Okay.
to make a presentation, and he would probably be a good person to address those issues as far as like hanging baskets and what the possibilities.
Yeah, because they're beautiful. I know like Swanberg's, they do flowers, Elliott's do flowers, but really other than that, it's not a lot of action going on down there. So those were just things I was thinking when I was walking. I think that's it.
Mr. Boyce.
Well, let's talk about them chuck holes on Church Street again. And I know it has to do with rainy weather, but there are some serious, and it's always on the weekend.
I came out Sunday morning, I followed the route, and I called Tony Construction to see if they had anybody that could come out Sunday, because the front part of my car disappeared in a pothole on Church Street.
Oh, wow.
So I have a first-hand view of what more than me saw. And so, it's a constant issue. It takes a lot of attention. I told him, I said, look, if you need to come out here and we'll pay you to come out and take care of it because I know the hole that I hit was a very serious hole.
Yeah.
We'd be better off to take care of that than to suffer the consequences.
We had a customer come into Webb's today with a broken wheel,
Wow.
and
And I do have one complaint, a formal complaint. I gave him the information. He said it was a broken wheel. He has not returned that information to me yet. But I'll let you know once, if he goes ahead and follows through on it.
a 727 is great.
I bet Webb Tires had you that.
No. Yeah. Ms. Spiegel?
Well, to follow up on the potholes, because of the work going on with the Church Street water line, there are numerous, and Jeff knows, he's very aware of this because I make him aware of it. There are dump trucks constantly, and they have to, I get that. They have to they're bringing the extra dirt down to the land around the wastewater treatment plant, which is somewhat near where Timmy and I and the mayor live. And there are potholes as a result of it on Countryside, Edgewood, and Annie. And I have heard complaints from my neighbors. They call me upset about it, so I'm just saying it out loud. I understand. And then the other thing that's on my mind, I would like to see the town put a surveillance security camera directly on our parking lot out here. Add a security, we have the ramp, but we don't have the parking lot, which is what I found out recently. I don't think that would cost, I don't think that would be a big, an expensive thing, and that's what I hope to see soon.
We have a partial view of the parking lot.
Yeah, and
so,
you showed me
yeah,
that.
you may want to look at it and see where you'd
I
like
did. I want it to be right from the bottom of the steps out to the parking lot.
Okay.
Is this something that you can do a quick assessment and see where we need to
Just go
catch
back
blind
and-
spots? I know that. But do we need 1, 2, 3 to cover, 360 degrees of the building and out to what space? We've got, at WSCT, we've got cameras all around the perimeter of the building. We still have blind spots. I took care of a few of them last week, trimming a holly tree. And improved that. We did with what we were offered from corporate to fix that, but what do we need to assure we're doing all we can do at a reasonable price? Thank you. Ms. Spiegel, anything else?
No.
Mr. Garrett,
I don't have any.
Ms. Puckett,
Yes, I do have a concern. It's one I hate to bring up in any respect. But things are moving very rapidly in the wrong direction for our council. I've been here for 10 years and never have I seen us get so unruly, undignified, and behave in a manner that's unworthy of the jobs that we hold and for the citizens that we represent. Last week when we were, Mary Lou and I went out together and we were accosted. And this is unacceptable behavior. I don't care who you are or where you are. People just should not have this level of anger and hatred for their fellow people. So in trying to figure out and prayerfully figure out what's the best thing to do, I sought some counsel. And because of that, I have a resolution I'd like to read and enter tonight. Whereas the Appomattox Town Council has authority to discipline its members for engaging in disorderly behavior and misconduct pursuant to section 15.2-1400D of the Code of Virginia, 1950, as amended. And whereas Councilman Nathan Simpson, while in the performance of his duties as councilman, has bullied, yelled in a threatening and intimidating manner, harassed other members of the town council, and whereas the councilman has also lacked the decorum and decency while engaging fellow members of the council, and whereas these actions, among others, have been a detriment to the public trust and reputation of the town council of Appomattox, and whereas it is incumbent on the town of Appomattox council to protect the public standing of the body, therefore, be it resolved by the council of the town of Appomattox, the actions of Councilman Nathan Simpson have negatively impacted the reputation and integrity of the body. Such disorderly behavior and misconduct warrants a discipline under Virginia law. A censure of admonishment is hereby imposed on the councilman. A fine commensurate to 1 month of pay for a member of the body to be issued to the councilman, due for payment no later than April 30th, 2024. If the fine is left unpaid by the due date, the Billings and Collections Divisions of the Finance Department shall collect the fine amount in accordance with Virginia law and town practice. To prevent further negative behavior, the councilman hereby is placed on notice and is strongly advised to change course or potentially face future reprimands permissible under Virginia law. That this resolution shall become effective upon its adoption.
I was in the parking lot. I saw everything. I feel like it was not related at all to what we do on town council. It was maybe prompted. It was, I don't know what happened in here to have Nathan get upset out there. Because I didn't see that, but I did witness it. So, do I think he needs to be reprimanded? I think this is a lesson that we all need to learn to keep our personal opinions outside of the meetings. Just if it's not necessary, let's not say it. That's kind of how I take that. That's all I gotta say.
I was there, and I'm not going to call myself a victim. I was frightened. I was scared. I didn't know what to expect. And I found out we had a witness that works here who heard this, and she poked her head around the corner because she said it sounded like somebody was getting beat up. And Claudia and I walked out, and we were on the ramp. Granted, we were up on top, but Nathan spotted us and came at us with his fist balled up and running towards the steps. And I looked at the door, and I thought to myself, I need to go back inside because I'm scared. And I didn't know what to expect. And then I turned around and looked at Claudia, and I said, well, I can't leave her standing here, because he just screamed and screamed and screamed. And one of the most hurtful things he said to us, the two of you are not fit to serve the citizens of this town. Based on what? But I didn't argue. I didn't say a word. But I was upset, and I still, whenever I talk about it, get upset. And that's not right to do that to out in the parking lot to one of your. Why? Because, and I know he was angry because his wife did not get appointed to the EDA. He said that the trigger word was nepotism, which I didn't even use. And he was pointing his finger at me, screaming nepotism. I was like, what? I didn't even know what that was about. And then you explained that you were the one who used that word, not me. But we took a vote, all of council, all of us, voted for the two people to be put on the EDA. It wasn't just me or Claudia. It was all of council took the vote, and it was a fair vote. And I've had votes that didn't go my way, certainly in the years I've been on council. But you kind of go, oh, shoot, and then you move on. You don't.
And that's where my comment came in, to move on. So that happened at the meeting, and then what I heard Nathan say in the parking lot was like you had approached his wife after the meeting. So it's not like Nathan goes home, decides to turn around and yell.
We had not done
There was a motivation for this to happen.
After the
One
meeting.
at a time.
Let me
One at a time.
tell you this. Fearing that Nathan's wife felt bad, I stepped over to her and I told her not to take it personally. It wasn't meant to be personally. It looks like nepotism, and that's not a good thing. That's all I said, hoping to make her feel better. I wasn't trying to antagonize her or hurt her in any way. How she took it that way, I don't know, because I certainly didn't mean it that way. And we've got to have some decorum around here. We've got to be able to come in here and sit and meet and talk like adults. We've got to come in here and meet and talk, do people's business. This is not a game. This is people's business. And we've got to be able to feel safe in the environment. The men folks may not, but I'm a will. I live alone, and I see this escalating. And I think the council needs to take action. This is what, under the law, we can do. So I'd like to ask that we vote on this tonight. Make a motion that we accept this resolution.
I second that motion.
Read the discussion first.
I think it's absolutely incumbent that we have to hold ourselves to a higher standard. I mean, the town voted us in to take care of this business. And when we let these little distractions get in here, and we let them grow, we don't take care of the business of taking care of business. And this is undoubtedly, it's a harsh step to take, but I think the precedent needs to be made to send the message, this council is going to operate professionally, giving respect to one another, caring for one another. And anything that goes outside that bounds, we've got to stop it. However, whatever way we need to do it, we've got to stop it.
And like, I would like to think tonight, when this meeting is over, that this discussion is over. Like, I don't want to be called to talk about it. I don't want to be approached before the next meeting to talk about it. Like, I'm just like that. Like, I think it was Mr. Boyce that night. I just was so anxious over the whole EDA thing, and like, just, you know, what I thought the discussion that happened while we were up here. I just feel like when a discussion is over, let's end it. Let's stay professional, stay here for the people, do what we need to do, and end it.
Absolutely.
And, you know, not bring it up again unless it's necessary.
Especially in the
meeting.
parking lot.
To make this official, we have a motion properly seconded to censure Nathan Simpson. Is there any further discussion? We must act professionally in all our endeavors to run the business of the town, to serve our citizens in a professional manner and with a good degree of decorum. Someone said that they used to work for a TV station that actually had a TV show completely based on people going after each other. And it was probably their highest rated show. And yet, I don't think that's the way professionals need to act. Is there any further discussion? Did you say we need a roll call vote? Kristen?
It's not
No.
required.
All right. All in favor of the motion as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Ayes have it, the motion carries. If it would be so kind as to inform Mr. Simpson of the situation and what the council's passed. I hope we can move beyond this and work, this should be the end of this.
Hopefully.
It should not go any further. I hope we can move forward and not get to this situation again. I enjoy doing this job, and I'm hoping I'm doing the best I can for the citizens. My personal feelings aside. If I didn't think I could do it, I would. But I think we can move forward professionally. And we can represent the citizens that have elected us to these offices.
I have one thing, Mayor.
Go ahead, Mr. Garrett.
One, planning commission, I think it's Roger Carson, he's on the planning commission.
Yes, sir.
He suffered a stroke this past week. He's home and he's doing well. He's got to do some rehab, but y'all keep him in prayers. And if we send, I don't know if y'all send a card or whatever.
And along those lines, make sure, I'm almost positive you've already taken care of, make sure Jeff's lost his father-in-law. Okay. Okay. All right.
I'll make a motion with adjourn.
Motion made and properly seconded for adjournment of the town council meeting. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Ayes have it, the motion carries. Thank you.